Dessert time.
Dessert time, and it is our classic based on the Brennan's of New Orleans recipe that we make here all the time.
Exactly. This is one of the first recipes we show our students here, bananas Foster.
Absolutely. And it's a great recipe. And it's flambéed.
Yes. So we're going to start off with our bananas.
That makes sense since it's bananas Foster.
It does. But you got to pick the right banana. Not ripe, but right. The correct banana.
There's a correct banana now?
There is. If it's got a little green to it, that's ideal. It's going to be a little more firm.
Sure. Plus we're adding a ton of sugar to it later.
That's true. Whereas you got this banana, it's on its way out.
That's going for banana bread.
Exactly. This will give us banana sauce, not bananas Foster.
Yes.
So.
We'd have to cut that like this thick to have any chance.
That's just not going to work. So we're going to cut this up.
And we're doing it basically banquet style now, right?
Exactly.
Because Brennan's in New Orleans would take one banana, slice it long ways, and kind of feather it to serve their guests. But we have all these camera crew people. We assume they want to eat today.
We got a lot of mouths to feed here.
This is true.
And those mouths stay quiet when you feed them.
Yeah,
just
unlike mine.
All right, so I'm going to slice this up. And the riper the banana, the thicker the slice is going to be. But if you notice, I left this on the skin. Why did I do that? Well, two reasons. One, it won't roll off my cutting board. The other thing is I can just pick it up and put it in the pan. It's a lot easier to do that now.
Oh, absolutely. I got some butter in there for you.
All right.
A lot. But this is your French cooking, as you would say, right?
Ooh, yes.
So, and that's what we always say. People, when they go out to restaurants, what do you expect when you go to a restaurant? We tell people more salt, more sugar, more fat.
More calories.
Yeah, but that's, you treat yourself.
Exactly.
So, you don't like to do that? We got our KitchenAid spatula.
Saute, a French term, saute pan, meaning to jump.
Absolutely. Well, we want to get those all coated, right?
Exactly.
And, I know when you make this, sometimes you'll show with some honey. And we're going to use traditional light brown sugar and dark brown sugar, a little more color on that dark brown, a little more molasses. Create this nice sauce here.
Okay, so butter and, butter and sugar.
Yeah, how can you go wrong, right? So butter and sugar.
Actually, I've seen it done. If
This
you overcook
is
this,
true.
your fire gets too hot, your sugar gets burnt, and it's very bitter. It's not something you want to eat.
So we're just going to get that all coated, break down that brown sugar.
Yum.
We're doing this very quick. It's not a dish that should take a ton of time to do. It's something that they actually can do tableside.
Yes.
So I think the art of tableside cooking is kind of disappearing, which is a shame.
It is.
Get my pan off the heat. This is our banana liqueur.
Banana liqueur. Okay.
A little bit of triple sec for a little
orange flavor. Yeah.
And you can hear that pan getting really hot, like you said, and some white rum that we're putting.
You save the high octane for last.
Yes.
Ooh.
Oh. And then if you want to get fancy while that's flambeing, a little cinnamon.
Ooh,
create
look at
those
that.
sparks. And a little bit in here for flavor, right?
Yeah. I feel like Tom Hanks in Castaway. Fire!
So we're going to cook this back down to that caramel-like consistency.
Yes.
And I'm actually going to add a little bit of orange juice. A lot of times when we cook this in advance, we'll store the bananas in orange juice. That way to prevent the oxidation.
Right.
I think I'm wearing some of the cinnamon now from the sparks flying
But
on
you
me.
smell good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a little dab behind the ears will do me. So we'll cook that back down.
I'm going to get some ice cream.
Absolutely, because traditionally we serve this over vanilla ice cream or French vanilla ice cream. And we're just going to saute this. This is going to be like napalm right now. So I'm cooking it back to that syrupy consistency. As it cools, it will also thicken up as well. So I don't want this to be blazing up. But if we did this right, there's still a little bit of texture on that banana.
Exactly.
Because the bananas weren't those
overripe
ones.
Exactly.
Right? So I'm going to let this cook just a little bit longer. Get a little bit more caramel to it. Right?
Yes, a little more caramelly. And the thing you need to remember is as this cools down, it's going to tighten up, it's going to thicken.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's thickening now. But again, it's like napalm. It's all cut. Oh, this is the time for smell-o-vision. Because this smells
you do have
fantastic.
a point. It does smell really good.
And you know what? I always say a lot of times the realtors, they'll make chocolate chip cookies to make the house smell good. Make some bananas Foster.
There you go.
Cinnamon brown sugar. Look at that. I mean, it's just glazing. Are you glazing out there or are you drooling?
Oh, I don't want the word drool in the episode at all. Let's edit that out, guys.
I'm sorry, jeez. the people can't drool. So this is very hot now. You may want to let it cool a little bit just to tighten up, and so it's easier to work with. But you can see how that's already getting really nice.
Yum.
We'll just spoon that right over our ice cream.
And for our mise en place, another French term, we planned ahead and have the scoops of ice cream all ready to go in the freezer. So all you got to do is take them out.
Yeah, make things easy for yourself. I like to do a little extra of the sauce.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So you just have to serve this very quick
good.
because that ice cream is going to melt. You know, again, we had some edible flowers before. I hit this, what goes good with bananas?
Chocolate.
Chocolate, Nutella.
Chocolate.
Right? Here, I'm going to give that to you, Chef.
Make me do all the work.
I'm going to do a little bit of chocolate chips, too. Give it a little crunch, right? Why not?
Right.
Textures.
Chocolate goes with chocolate pretty well.
Oh, look at that. That's looking beautiful. If we had some dry banana chips, if you wanted to garnish with
Got
that.
a little texture. That's
But
nice.
I'm just going to do, you know, a little nice traditional local mint.
It's beautiful.
And since we had some from before, why not put a little
Right.
yellow flour to symbolize the banana?
Yeah, and in case you're curious, if you want what a flour tastes like, it tastes like you're eating a flour.
That absolutely.
But it is edible.
But look how pretty that is. Our
That's
flambe
gorgeous.
dish, flambéed with our banana liqueur, our triple sec with that citrus, and some white rum for that high octane. You saw that flame, right?
That's a nice show.
Absolutely. And you know, a little spark of the cinnamon, some brown sugar, light and dark, some butter, bananas. Simple, tasty, elegant. This is something you'll want to serve your friends.
Tough combination to beat.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to enjoy this before it melts away and it looks really bad, but you do nice work.
Oh, well, thank you. We flambéed together.
That's it. We are ready. We're ready to flambe. And
Hey, we don't need no water. Let the...
no.
Ah,
We're just going to flambe here.
I see smoke already.
You know, where there's smoke, there's going to be fire, and we have plenty of fire today. Flambe is a great way to incorporate the richness and the flavors of different wines, different cocktails.
Cocktails?
Cocktail flavors. Today we're going to work with some tequila.
Oh.
All right, but brandies. Any of these, especially aperitifs, that richness, that flavor we want in our dish, but not the alcohol.
Sounds fancy. Aperitif.
Yes, feeling very snobbish today. So, you know, when you're flambe, a lot of people can get intimidated by flambe, and they say, oh, I don't want to do that, because, you know, if your stovetop at home is here, your microwave is about here.
Exactly.
All right,
So what could happen when that microwave is right about here?
you could have a disaster waiting to happen.
Oh, geez. Woo! I forgot the marshmallows.
You know, every time I do that, I had a German chef at culinary school. He'd say, "Oh, look, French cooking." This was flambe.
Flambé.
Flambe. So today we're going to do some shrimp. We're going to make a brandy cream sauce. So why don't we get going with the green peppercorn sauce?
Okay,
First.
so we're going to do that for some, we have USDA Prime dry aged strip steak. So we'll do
Yum.
this green peppercorn sauce. I went ahead and seared that steak, got some grill marks on a grill pan, and then for this sauce, I used those some of those drippings there with just a little
Yum.
bit of olive oil.
Yeah.
And we'll start off and we'll get a little bit of shallot.
All right.
We'll get that going in there. We're just gonna
Nice slice.
put a little bit of salt in there, right?
Okay.
So we'll get that going, and we're gonna do a little bit of fresh garlic and a little bit of fresh thyme to that.
All right.
Okay. Oh. Couldn't resist.
Very exciting stuff.
So, and if you don't like to do that, we got our little KitchenAid.
There we go.
So we're gonna sweat this a little bit, just cook it a little translucent. We don't wanna, we can caramelize it if we want, because it is gonna be a brown sauce. We're gonna have a
Exactly.
little brown stock in there, but we're gonna make this real quick. And as we always say, a recipe is nothing more than a framework. So if
Exactly.
there's something
Make it
you don't
yours.
like, something you want to add to it, you want to put a little rosemary in there, or whatever you're into. So little shallot, little garlic, dash of salt, some fresh thyme.
All good stuff.
I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of stock to this to deglaze that.
Ooh, deglaze. That's lifting up anything that sticks to the bottom of the pan. Get that flavor, all that goodness.
The fond.
Fond into the flavor, into our sauce.
And like I always say, hey, Mr. C. I can't help it. I'm sorry.
Well,
I should always put corn in my food since I'm so corny. No?
boy.
All right.
All right, now I'm starting to feel like a NASCAR fan. I'm just here for the wreck.
Oh,
I want to
okay.
see the fire.
You want to see the fire? Okay, well, I'm going to cook this. So I'm going to reduce it by at least half. You can cook it to what's called au sec, so we can cook it till it gets drier. But just to appease you, I have this on full heat.
All right,
My pan's going to be really, really hot. So I'll let that get nice and hot so you can get a little show there.
All right.
This hasn't really reduced enough, but just in the interest of you at home and you here, Chef Fee, not being patient, I'll go ahead and add some brandy. Take this away from the heat anytime you're flambeing. I'll pour it, go ahead in the back of my pan, switch it up. Ooh, and there goes that microwave.
Nice. Yes.
So I'm going to go ahead and get that. That's some nice brandy there. So get
That's
that
a
brandy
beautiful
going.
thing.
And this is going to cook real quick, this particular recipe. So I'm going to go ahead. And again, these are green peppercorns. If it's something you don't like, you don't have to add. I just want to incorporate some of the flavor with this. I mean, it can't be a peppercorn sauce if you don't have these peppercorns, right?
I don't have truth in advertising here.
So I'm just going to get that going in here.
While I'm doing that, I'm going to play with some shrimp here.
Oh,
I'm
excellent.
going to throw some, my pan is ready to go, so I'm going to put my shrimp.
And we have a new vendor, so we're using these shrimp that are, they're not from New Jersey, but they are from North Carolina. They come in on the day boat. So they're very, very fresh. Add another dash of salt to this peppercorn sauce, which had that beautiful brandy flambe.
Yes, yes,
And you
indeed.
said you're using tequila in yours?
I am. Tequila.
Excellent. So where's your fire, since you were rushing me for my fire?
Well, some things are worth the wait.
Oh, geez, see?
It's all a matter of perspective, right?
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get that cooking. I'm going to add some more beef stock to this, just so I actually have some sauce to play with, right? And that has the residual sugars and flavors from the alcohol without that proof. So
Exactly.
no one's going to be all drunk after they eat this, New York strip steak with the brandy corn pepper sauce. So that's beautiful looking shrimp too.
It is. It's nice stuff. Look until it's just done. I don't want to overdo it. It's going to go back into the pan in just a moment.
And that's my size shrimp too.
Jumbo?
Yes. Because they're 1620s, right?
All right. Now, some of you, if you see the shrimp sticking to the pan a little bit, but again, that's going to become the fond, and we're going to lift that up on out of there.
Hey, Mr. C.
Okay.
Or in this case, hey, Chefy.
I think I'm going to leave the shrimp right in there. We're going to set our shrimp on fire.
You ready? Oh, yeah.
All right. So we always tell our students here, when you flambe, don't pour right from the bottle. It's just a little dangerous. You want to be doing a Molotov cocktail.
Yeah, I could shoot right back in there, right?
Exactly. Alcohol evaporates at about 175 degrees, so it doesn't take much. So we're going to pour our tequila into the back of the pan.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to let that start to evaporate before I flame it.
Ah.
Well, I don't want to burn the place down.
That's true.
You know.
It's true. But I sense a fire. Woo! That's a fire, Gus.
Tequila.
That's beautiful.
So now you can see why I reduced that down a little bit.
I see. So now, what, are you going to have some lime to go with that tequila later?
I do have a little line for that.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to let this reduce down. It's nice and hot. And this dish is actually served over salad. So
Okay. Well,
nice healthy mix there.
speaking of reduce, I'm going to go ahead and strain this. Get these peppercorns and big pieces of shallot and garlic out of here, because I don't think we want a chunky sauce for our steak, do we?
No, not particularly.
So I'll go ahead and get all that goodness out of there. But don't worry, I'm going to keep this pan. And it's best if you always use the pan that you cook the protein in. In this case, I use just some drippings, but at home, I do suggest you use the same one. So here's our reduction here.
Beautiful.
Yeah, not bad, right? So we'll reduce this again. Add our cream and a little bit of mustard to finish it off. We're going to use some whole grain mustard.
Nice.
So I'll let that go.
Okay.
And your shrimp.
Yeah, I shut mine down because I'm going to add some butter to it.
Ooh.
All right, to make a butter sauce. I'm going to add some. We made our gastrique earlier. Gastrique is half sugar, basically half vinegar cider, or apple cider vinegar, you can say. A little red peppercorn flakes in there. A little
that's
sauce
nice.
consistency.
Beautiful.
Nice looking stuff. And then just emulsify a little bit, just a little bit of butter. And remember, a butter is an emulsification, which means it can break and separate. So we don't want to have this too hot. And so we want this just to form a nice sauce, which we have here.
Beautiful.
And coat our shrimp. This we actually serve over greens. All right.
That's
right
like
here.
healthy, right? Oh,
Well,
I see you got that lime
mostly.
right in there.
Yes, indeed.
So speaking
Right
of,
on there.
you're using the butter, I'm using the cream, which also is emulsified, so you got to be very careful with that as well, right?
Okay. All right. Now, I have our little fancy little spoon here,
That's great
serving
stuff.
spoon. And I'm going to just drizzle this right over the top of my shrimp. And this is also going to be my nice dressing for my greens.
Beautiful.
I'm done.
Well, you beat me.
Well, not literally.
Well, I hope not.
I'm just not that kind of guy.
Oh, so we got some smells coming up, which
Yes.
is the time to tell the audience.
To ignore the next line that's coming.
Turn up that smell-o-vision.
Like I said.
All right, so here we're reducing the cream with the peppercorns, the beef stock, the shallot, and the garlic that we already took out of there. This get really hot on me, so I'm going to turn that down because, you know, it goes from thick to burned very quickly.
Yes.
Right? And I put a little bit of that whole grain mustard in there,
Nice.
just letting that reduce by about half of what we had it. And that's just about there, right?
Looking that way.
So if we wanted to, we could tighten it up with a bit of roux, which we always say half fat, half flour, or a slurry. We like to just reduce this sauce, though, and thicken it by
Exactly.
reduce.
Concentrate down those flavors.
So, and I'd like it a little thicker than that, but I'm going to use also one of these beautiful spoons here right over top
You're
of
hiding it. No one can see it back there.
Oh, I'm
Over
sorry.
here. Just put you on the front row. How's that?
Oh, thank you. Not
Allow
quite,
me.
it's not quite as thick as I want it to be right now, the sauce. But you see I put my edible flours on there.
I see.
I'm masking my beautiful grill marks, but I'm sure you saw them out there before.
They were pretty perfect grill marks, I have
that-
to say.
Oh, well, thank you, Chef. Little of that peppercorn sauce.
Nice.
And again, if we tighten that up a little bit more, we could put some underneath if we want, whatever the case may be. And then you know, I have my
But wait, there's more.
little micro,
Little microgreens are a
little
nice touch.
color.
Yes.
And I have this really pretty edible flowers around it. And I'll finish it off with a couple flowers since
okay.
we eat with our eyes first. So there's our prime New York strip steak that's been in a grill pan, seasoned just salt and pepper, with our beautiful flambe brandy peppercorn cream sauce.
And as a nice accompaniment, nice side dish to go in the second course with our tequila glazed shrimp flambe. Welcome to Retro Kitchen. This is Retro Retired. We have some things here that have been retired for a very good reason. A basic meat mallet here. It's made of wood. Wood is a harbinger for bacteria. Once it starts to split or crack, not something you want to have around. These were actually, you would put a roast on these. So rather than put a roasting rack, you just put these under and kind of put your roast on there. This is a strainer. Right now we have cheesecloth. We use cheesecloth these days, which is disposable. I don't know how you'd ever wash this and actually get this clean. So we have here some tin cups. This is in pints and gills. And these are pints and half pints measured on here. These are impossible to clean, but a gill is actually 4 ounces, a teacup. So two gills make a half pint. So we could complicate the measure. You know, again, wooden, not so good to keep around. This is old for, you know, straining sauces or making applesauce. This is newer. It's just, what's the point? This is for salad tongs. I guess they're supposed to be fancy. Not so much, more of a Rube Goldberg kind of thing. So, retro retired, and for a good reason. Chef Bennett.
Chef, how are you?
Welcome.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Thanks for having
Mercer
me.
Mercer County Community College. We are very excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here.
I know Chef Frank is looking forward to, he's got a bit of a sweet tooth as
I
well.
know he likes chocolate.
So we're happy you're here. And now, you're an interesting story.
Oh?
I mean, born and raised West Virginia.
Virginia.
Of Virginia, okay. And then you went to Culinary Institute, New England.
New England.
Lebec Finn. Competed in pastry competitions all over the world. Became a chef, did that all over the world. And now you're here.
Yeah, here I am.
So you're right. You're in the neighborhood for the most part, right?
I feel like I'm home. I live in South Jersey now, so I'm not leaving.
Okay. And now your latest creation is not a dessert, but a business, right?
Yes. Well, we bought Classic Cake about 10 years ago. It's actually been around for about 30 years. When the owner was murdered, that's a horrible story.
Yes.
The company went into disrepair, many different hands, and we literally bought them the day before they were going to close the doors for good. And so now, 10 years later, we've moved the factory across the bridge to Port Richmond, Philadelphia, and we have a retail store. We supply hotels, restaurants, caterers, casinos, and we do massive amounts of cheesecakes. We do private labeling for many well-known names in the United States, I can't say.
Right.
And we ship to South Korea.
It's a secret, yeah.
And we're opening up a store in Center City, Philadelphia, this coming April.
Oh, phenomenal.
16th and JFK, right there at
Nice.
Suburban Station. So it's a lot
You
going
better
on.
go there. You like it. Or you can follow your recipe you're making today and you can make it
Yes.
your own, but it's a lot easier just to.
Oh yeah,
Go
just
pick one
come
up.
let me make it for you.
So, now you were, as a young man, you were very ambitious. I mean,
I was. My parents didn't have much money. My father was a chemist. He was one of the head chemists for Chapstick Company, and I loved going into the factory with him and the respect that they all gave him, because every time Mr. Bennett came in, they all stood up, and there I am, holding my dad's hand and walking through, and just loved chemistry. I have a sweet tooth, so they just came together.
that's awesome. So now that kind of work ethic that you need to succeed in this business, that's not something that you can teach someone. That drive was instilled in you. So who was your role model for that?
I've had many, but actually I have to give a lot of props to Chef George Perrier at Lebec Finn. He was like a father to me. And every single day before I went in there, you just take a deep breath right before you go through those doors, because there's going to be fire under your tail the whole day long. And you have to produce, and you have to be on point, being a five-star restaurant.
Sure. Now, the day you found out you got that gig, how did it feel?
I was very nervous. I actually didn't know much about Lebec Finn, because being raised in Virginia and going to school in Vermont and then traveling around, I didn't know their history, but I knew that they were one of the best in the country.
Right.
And in fact, in 1989, I think it was Condé Nast Traveler, someone voted us #1 restaurant in the world. So it was a great honor.
I'll say. And you weren't the only pastry chef there, though, were you?
No, when I first started, there were 2 other Frenchmen there. They were on their way out. So I just grabbed that brass ring, took over, and 14 years later, we had 12 people in our pastry department. Chef Perrier never said no. He built me a beautiful laboratory. But I wanted to go out on my own, so that's why I finally left.
So how was that transition? Now you go from pastry chef now to business owner.
It's a learning curve, and it's an evolutionary process. So I'm learning something new every day. I am the HR for our company. We have I have about 100 employees all total between our store and our factory.
Now, what's a primary thing you look for in a potential new hire?
Attitude.
Attitude.
Unless I'm hiring for a sous chef position or whatever, they have to come in with experience already.
Right.
I just want someone who's hungry to learn and has good work ethic. They show up on time, and they dress clean, and they're professional. So
I hope my students are taking notes with that. That's phenomenal. Now you've learned a lot from all the folks you've worked with over the years, I'm sure. Who are some more inspirational people you've worked with?
Jean-Marie Guichard, he was the head chocolatier for Cacao Berry. when they came to the United States, and I was very blessed that their headquarters was right there in Pensacola, New Jersey, right across the bridge from Philadelphia. So, of course, with the French connection, Chef Perrier, he said, Bobby, he called me Bobby. He said, go work with Jean-Marie for a little bit. And Jean-Marie is, I mean, everybody in the world knew Jean-Marie Guichard.
Sure, sure.
Even the people at Valrhona, which was a fierce competitor for Cocoa Berry, they knew Jean-Marie. And I learned chocolates from him and a lot of pastries. And in fact, he was my judge for the World Chocolate Masters, not the World Chocolate, forgive me, the World Cup of Pastry. So in 1989, I represented the world, the United States in World Cup of Pastry, or the Coupe du Monde.
That's phenomenal.
It was the first ever Coupe du Monde. We only had 2 months to get ready for it. And we got 5th in the world.
Not
So
too shabby.
I'm
2 months
happy.
notice, I should say. So now, not to brag, but Thanksgiving, I cooked for 19.
Nice.
19. Now I hear you had a little gig at some inauguration. There's a little more than that.
Yeah, President Reagan. After I graduated from NECI, I was asked to come back to teach. And I taught the first semester, first-year students. And then lo and behold, the executive pastry chef instructor resigned. So they said, Chef, do you want it? And I said,
That brass ring
I
again.
grabbed that brass ring. And not even a few weeks later, we get a call from the White House that they need an inauguration cake for President Reagan. So this was January of 1985. This was the second inauguration. And they said, we know we're only giving you 9 days notice. So just make a fake cake. I said, no, we're going to make a real one. And so I took 5 students, and we just worked day and night, easily 20 hours a day. I hired an architect to do the blueprints of the U.S. Capitol. I made that out of pastillage. For you who don't know what pastillage, just think of a Necco wafer, the candy. That's exactly what it was.
Right, right.
And that was the cherry on top. And it served 44,000 people.
44,000. Now, you do some serious volume now as well, and I know you
Yes.
said you had an event where you did 3,500 plate-up individual desserts?
Yeah, that was just one of 3 nights in a row with Robert Irvine. I'm
Right.
his corporate pastry chef. And we go down and do Skyball in Dallas every year. And it's just
Phenomenal event.
such an incredible event. It's the U.S. military and American Airlines. And all the top chefs from all the military branches come in. They actually have to be invited to come in to work this event.
Sure.
And so I come down, obviously I do the pastries, and Robert oversees the cuisine.
So for that, now to gear up for that kind of volume, how do you, and I know you're very particular, and that the first one and the number 3,500 were precisely the same. How do you
Yes.
do that?
A lot of planning, and actually working with these great chefs. They were just incredible. And I mean, being military, they're disciplined, so didn't have to raise my voice at all, and we knocked them out. And they gave us a part. The whole dinner was in the hangar, the final dinner, which was over 3,000 sit down. And we actually took over the break room for the employees of the hangar. But this hangar was so big, it's one of the largest in the world. They had a 747 and an Osprey helicopter parked in the dining room, and 3,000 people in between, and still tons of room to spare.
Wow.
That's how big that place was.
We've cut flowers. Well, I know with pastry, it's an art, it's a science, and it's about the techniques. But I know with your world travels, your techniques, you also introduce a lot of ethnicity into what you do, don't you?
Oh, I do. And I'm learning from other cultures as well. I spent 9 days in Seoul. I went over there. They love cheesecake, and they love dairy, and they love, especially being that we're from Philadelphia, and we have some of the best dairy in the United States right here in Pennsylvania.
So you're going to open a store up in Seoul?
We have 3 tiny little units. We're not single owners, but it's a kind of like a co-op. And there are 3 little storefronts over there that there's like a poster of me over there.
Wow, cool.
And they sell our cheesecake.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I think it's time to get in the kitchen.
Okay.
And I'm going to get hungry pretty
I'm
soon.
ready.
And so
I'm ready.
right this way, that's Chef Frank is ready for us.
Very good. Let's go.
Smell of it.
Chef Frank,
Oh.
we have company.
Oh, company. Oh,
Chef Robert Bennett.
How are you?
doing?
Great to
Very
see
good.
you.
Good to be here. Thank you.
I understand the chocolate now.
Yes.
It's wonderful. He's
Yeah.
going to make us something fantastic.
We're in for a treat today, I know.
Today I'm going to show you Silky dark chocolate mousse. So it's a little more involved than the regular chocolate mousse that we make at home or you see in the Fanny Farmer cookbook or whatnot. This is actually how they make it in the top pastry shops in Paris.
Oh,
So it's a little more involved, but the payoff is incredible.
that's all right. I'm very patient.
Very good.
Are
I'm
you
not
very-
that patient. I'm gonna come back when it's ready.
I don't blame you.
All right.
I'm going to stay for the whole process, Chef, because I'm very interested in learning, and I'm sure our audience out there in learning how this is prepared.
Very good.
Very
Okay.
good stuff. I'll be back.
We'll see you in a little bit, Chef V.
So chef, of course, pre-measure your ingredients. We call it mise en place.
Absolutely.
This is simple syrup. It's 1 part water to 1 part sugar. Bring it to a boil, take it off. Every pastry chef has this in their shop, as you know.
Sure.
We're actually using it twice today, so
Okay.
it's very important to have it. Egg yolks and egg. This is 6 yolks and 1 egg.
It's a lot of fat.
But you know what? Wait till you see how much air it absorbs. So yes, it is rich in fat, but because of the lecithin in the egg yolks, it's going to help emulsify the mousse. That's what
Okay.
gives it its silkiness. We're going to benefit from the protein that's in the egg because we're going to get it very hot and then fluff it up, so it'll give us some lightness. And then the heavy cream.
Also very fatty.
Fatty.
Well, don't mistake that there's no adverse
Yes.
reaction
Oh,
to
no,
fat
no.
here. So,
So everything in moderation. It's not like
That's
you're
what I
gonna
have to
wanna
learn.
eat. Yes, well, me too.
but this sounds amazing, silky and rich. And you
Yes.
said this is from basically the finest pastry shops in France would prepare their.
This recipe is actually from, I can't say their name on camera, but it's one of the top pastry shops in Paris.
Sounds pretty
So-
darn good to me.
So to get started, I have my bain-marie.
Okay.
Take my bowl,
And for the home cook out there that may be watching this, the bain-marie is nothing more
water
than
bath. It's a water bath. So I
So,
have my yolks
but
and
everything's
egg.
fancier in France, right?
Of course, of course. Now I'm going to add the simple syrup to
Now,
this.
Would you ever flavor your simple syrup for this recipe?
You can, absolutely. So say, for instance, you want to make a little cinnamon in the background.
Okay.
When you're making your simple syrup, boil some cinnamon sticks. Don't use ground cinnamon, use cinnamon sticks. That's the purest flavor.
Sure.
Boil that, strain it through a cheesecloth or a superfine strainer. You have cinnamon syrup, mint syrup, especially even in the summertime. It's really good for sweetening iced tea.
Okay.
You know, if you have iced tea and you have the granular sugar and you're trying to dissolve it and it takes forever,
Yeah.
have your simple syrup on hand. Stay
See?
in the refrigerator for weeks and weeks.
Excellent tip there.
So what we're doing here, Chef, this is called a pâte de bombe.
Okay.
So this is the base for all the really good silky mousses.
Would that translate to silky mousse?
No, not it, the pâte de bombe. Bombe actually is a French dessert in the shape of a bomb.
Okay.
And the pâte is a paste. So it is the base for that mousse that makes the bomb shaped.
You have to watch when you say the word bomb these
Yes,
days, right?
I do.
But this is going to be, as they would say sometimes, the bomb, right?
Good way to put it.
I know my humor is not much.
So I'm going to get this very hot. And the beauty of this simple syrup is because it has the sugar in there, sugar is actually going to raise the coagulation temperature of the eggs.
Okay.
So I'm going to be able to get the eggs much hotter than normally. So that's how like a liquid cake batter. You put it in the oven, it doesn't just set immediately because, you know, when you fry an egg, it starts to set up immediately.
Sure,
But
yeah.
because of the sugar in there, it's allowed to expand until finally it sets.
Oh,
The
I
proteins
may be making
coagulate.
some sweet omelets for breakfast now.
Well, there, you might
I
have
don't know,
to cook
I don't
them a
know
little more.
how that would taste, but
I still do use fresh eggs in the shell for separating for the French macaron
okay.
because I cannot find pre-made whites.
It's tough because they all have the citric acid in there.
They do, and the
Sure.
gums, and for a true French macaron, you need the fresh whites.
Not worthy of the smell-o-vision as of yet.
No,
But I see there's
will
chocolate
very
here that's
soon.
going to be
yes,
later on. And
got it? All right, so Chef, I'm going to put this on the mixer,
okay.
whip it thick, and then after a few minutes, nice and thick and light.
There you
This
go.
is the finished pâte de bombe.
And seeing what that looks like inside there, is there any guide that you would have as far as the texture or something to look for specifically?
It's going to go very light, and the bowl will get down to like room temperature.
Okay.
So you'll know that work it on medium to medium high speed. Don't work it on very high speed.
Okay.
because sometimes you think you're whipping air into it, but you're actually beating it out of it.
Sure.
This is a 64% chocolate, so
Okay.
it means it's 64% pure the chocolate liquor. That's
Okay.
So 100% is 100% unsweetened chocolate that some of our mothers and grandmothers call baking chocolate.
Yes, yes.
So this is more
essential
in
for
the
the
bittersweet
brownies.
family. Yes.
A little bit of the brownie.
Absolutely, the purest form. So, Chef, the reason you wanted your chocolate not just melted, but you want it actually warm, because I'm going to introduce a little bit of the whipped cream to make an instant ganache. So what that does, it actually neutralizes the chocolate.
Okay.
It occupies the acid, neutralizes the acid so that there's no acid to eat away at the lecithin in the pâte de baume to deflate it.
There is the scientific
Yes,
component.
yes. So I'm going to take some of the cream, and the cream, you don't want it whipped too stiff.
Okay.
Now, I used to think as an apprentice, you whip it very stiff, very
Sure.
light, you get a light mousse. It doesn't work like that. The acid that is still going to be there, and it's going to help tighten up the cream a little bit.
Okay. So you
So-
want more like a soft peak?
Very soft.
And do you have any preference? You said a 64% chocolate you're using. Is there any preference? 64% is your preference,
I
obviously.
do. I love that one. It's a Guayaquil. It's a cocoa berry,
Okay.
which is French chocolate. I'm one of their ambassadors.
Excellent.
But I don't have to pledge an allegiance to them. It's just that good.
Yeah.
I've been using that chocolate since all my years at Lebec Fen.
Well, then,
Love it.
then you know it's got to be good. So far we just have the
This is,
cream and the
That's it.
and the chocolate.
so now I'm going to introduce it into the
This
Pâte
is
de
the
baume?
fun part, right?
Yes.
So we'll have to see if we can get a little picture inside
Oh,
there.
sure thing. I'll tilt it for the camera.
There you go. This is the magic.
Now the folding. Get this going. Now I'm not going to fold it 100% yet because I want to save some swipes for the cream.
Okay. Oh, I was about to eat that cream. Thought that was left over for me.
I'll let you lick the bowl,
Oh, thank you. That's the best part, isn't it?
but no, I try not to leave too much in the bowl.
I won't lick it on camera though.
So now I'm folding it together.
And that's typical that you'll do that in stages where you'll add some cream and then add some more to create
Yes,
some lightness.
the first one is the tease. It's to neutralize the chocolate, and then I fold it in with the pâte de baume, and then now the cream. And in fact, this is how they do it in.
There's no direction you can go with this that's going to be bad.
This is true. This is true.
you-
If you don't preserve the lightness in it, it's going to be dense, but it's still going to be incredibly delicious.
Now, would you make this in advance and chill it, or you like to,
Yes.
to make it and serve it right away?
Well, depending. No, if I'm going to serve it later on, I want to enjoy my guests. I'm not
yes.
going to be in the kitchen. No, I like it to set up a little bit.
Okay.
In fact, we actually freeze these cakes. And
Okay.
the beauty of this recipe, it's so durable, it doesn't suffer from freezing.
Okay.
In fact, this is exactly how they do it in all the shops. So here's some chocolate cake. Once
So
again,
I would
here's
be,
the
I
simple
would be
syrup.
fine. Just now, what's that?
This is the simple syrup.
I'm more like the.
Ah.
It almost looks like something that you use for alcohol combined with a rain shower attachment.
Basically, yeah. Maybe that's how it came about. Now, some people use, they'll have this in a bowl and use a pastry brush.
Sure.
But we make so many
Oh, yeah.
cakes. So it's got the,
No, I think we're
perforated
going
top.
to be getting one of those for here.
just shower this down.
And a lot of times they'll give that a douse with a little liqueur or something
Oh,
of
yes.
that nature.
Grand Marnier is excellent in there. We use a lot of Grand Marnier at the restaurant. So here, I guess for the camera. So I got the mousse in there. Now this is just a stainless steel ring. It's called an entremet ring. It's for making cakes. See, there's no bottom.
Again, it sounds so much fancier in
Yeah,
French.
it is.
A ring or an.
Or you can use a what am I trying to think of?
I was going for the entremet.
Oh, the entremet.
It sounds so fancy.
Entremet just means cake.
Yeah,
Just means cake.
just took the fun out of it.
Yeah, sorry.
A little more dousing.
Oh yeah.
so much quicker than the brush.
That's what they say because you want it nice and moist. Now you can also use a springform pan
Oh yeah.
because we're building this cake,
And just clip it off and done, right?
and then up here.
So you say you'd make these ahead of time and you'd freeze these?
Oh
and
yeah,
then
we make.
Just take them out a few hours before service.
Hundreds
or the
of
night
these
before?
at a time, exactly. Then one last. Press it down. You don't want any air pockets.
Chef, you're making everything look so easy, but
It is easy. It is easy.
it's easy for you.
Now
I think I can do this, but not near effortlessly as you do.
And this ring is going to help you out because watch, this is how it makes it so nice and clean and finished. You take your cake. Overfill it, and then
like the Jackson Pollock, a Mousse over here.
there we go.
I think we're going to put this artwork tablecloth on display later too. Beautiful.
And then it goes into the freezer.
Okay.
It comes out, and you know how we love our blowtorches in the kitchen. So for the creme brulee, but actually you take a blowtorch to the edge. This pops right off. Then the cake, while it's frozen, I use my chocolate glaze. That would be a whole demo all by itself. But I brought a cake already done. So.
Wow.
So this is with the chocolate miroir, mirror. So this is a special glaze.
Sounds so much better, miroir.
I love the shine.
It's
it stays this shiny for days and days and days.
Really?
Yep.
That's amazing.
So and then the beauty of the cake is frozen solid, so you can melt up the glaze even warmer. So it's very thin. So you're putting just a super thin, nice, clean, elegant glaze on there, without it being glopped on. So I use less glaze. I'm giving the customer a more elegant product.
Sure.
And I can actually make more cakes.
And you had one other item too?
I do. I have a couple of
two
other
other
items. Yes. So can I do this? Can I hand that to you?
Sure.
Thank you. So I just took the mousse, threw it into a champagne flute. Now, ironically, in the States, we would call this a parfait glass. When you make a mousse with a pâte de baume, a frozen still mousse, that's actually called a parfait in France. So I don't know if you ever had our frozen Gramigné soufflé at Le Bec Fin.
I have not.
That was the French call that a parfait.
Okay.
In the States, it's a tall, thin glass, also a parfait. So
fantastic.
And I just threw it into some little chocolate mousse cups. So the recipe that actually I just demoed made exactly this right here.
Wow, that is truly decadent. I mean, I'm thinking, wow, New Year's Eve, special occasion. Decadent. I mean, champagne. I'm thinking New Year's Eve, special occasion, champagne. I don't think any guest would be upset with that. And look how beautiful that is. I don't think any guest would be upset with that. Fork. I guess that's too much. I think I could just sit here with a fork. There's the moderation.
There we
I guess
go.
that's too much decadence. You can see all the layering that you just showed us.
There we go.
Beautiful. You can see all the layering that you just showed us, and you just.
rotate the cake to show the cross.
You got it?
Thanks.
How's that?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you can see in there the
How's that?
layers with that mousse that you just made for us, and the so you can see in there the layers with that mousse that you just made for us, and the cake there. I mean, the only thing that I'm thinking of.
We have to share.
Timing is
Very good.
everything. Now, I heard everything in moderation, but I think 3 people eating this one piece of cake may be past moderation.
Yeah.
But sharing is caring, so, and we are so thankful that you came
Well, it's
to
my
join
pleasure,
us, Chef.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. It
Thanks
was-
for
Thank you
joining
very
us.
much. My pleasure.
Let's check this out. Herbs, which, you know, I don't know if this is the king and queen of the medicinal ball, but it's something you can use in all of your food out there. Instead of putting a ton of salt in there, we can start using some fresh herbs. So whether it be some of these beautiful chives, this actually helps, believe it or not, with heart healthiness.
Oh, wow.
So amongst other things, and it does give some flavor. So we also have here some rosemary. Rosemary is good, and they also help with blood pressure as well. Little basil, right? Good flavor. You can use that for sweet or savory these
Yes.
days.
I see the ginger root is huge, kind of weird looking. This is, what did you say? This was the Hawaiian ginger.
This is Hawaiian ginger. It's a little more expensive, so you want to make sure. We like to take, when we use this, we'll take a piece off, and we'll usually use our spoon to take off the outside piece.
This is a huge anti-inflammatory, antifungal. It's all of these have a lot of those similar properties, and it's just, I try and always have ginger tea at least. If ever I'm feeling nauseous, I would definitely resort to ginger.
Not ginger ale, because that's a process. So just fresh ginger.
Fresh ginger. And also garlic.
Anti-cancer funny,
Yes,
right?
I love garlic. You said it was a black garlic,
This is
which
black
I've never
garlic.
seen.
It's fermented, so it's really sweet. So we can actually pop that open and see inside there. See how
Oh, wow.
sweet? See, it's like
I've never
looks
had
like
black
tar.
garlic.
Isn't that nice?
Oh, that's good.
And then finish off. Most people like to finish off a little fresh mint to
Yes,
freshen
mint
their
is
breath.
good with digestion as well.
All are medicinal food items that you can enjoy, and keep eating the fresh, all-natural foods, not processed, because food is
A healer.
a healer. You heard it.
I just want to say food heals.
Food heals. It rejuvenates. It heals.
Rejuvenate.
That's the word. Eat healthy. Food is medicinal. Eat for your health.